Okay folks, thanks very much for joining me. Today I'm going to be tying up one of my favourite back end salmon flies, one that I wouldn't even fish if it wasn't in my box. So first thing we need to do is tie on our thread and then add on some oval gold. And as always, this will form the tag, but it'll also form the rib for this fly as well. Okay, so I'm going to bring it down to the hook points and then just start tying up the oval there. 3 or 4 turns and then tuck in underneath. Okay, so run this up the full length of the body and then pull it back on itself. You can use wire if you prefer as well, because it's a more robust fly. The original did have Mirage as the rib. Okay, so first part of the fly I'm going to be tying is the tail, and the tail for this fly is why it's so deadly and the most important part of the fly. So the first part of the tail is going to be red runner, and each part is going to be a different way of tying in. So I'm going to lift a clump of runner, and I've left the under fur in here and all the main fur. I'm going to put out the guard hairs, okay, because this is going to be a short piece. You want this about the length of the shank, or maybe between the shank and the hook. Okay, so I'm going to tie this in, and as you'll see, I haven't tied it right up to the tag yet because I want the tag to kick it up a bit. So I'm going to tie in most of this at the mid section of the body. Okay, next we're going to add in a little bit of flesh. So this is a size 12. I find that the back end fish, particularly August, September time, size 12 is more than enough. If you're getting into October, it might be a different story if it being colder water. So because I'm only doing a wee bit of flesh, I'm only doing 2 wee strands here for now. Okay, and then the next part of the tail is going to be orange, and this is a bit of a thinner layer. And I've kept my guard hairs in there. I'm going to try and make this twice the length of the original layer there. And pinch and loop and tie that in on top. Okay, and as you can see, there's actually a few nice guard hairs there. Normally I would tie in a few individual guard hairs. There seems to be a nice profile there already, so I'm going to keep it at that there. And then another bit of flesh. So this time it's going to be angel hair or craft fur or craft fibers. So I'm going to put this in underneath. So I used a bobbin to screw that in, as you've seen, and I have about half a dozen fibers here. I'm just going to cut them all at different lengths by running the scissors up. Okay, and again, just every now and again, if you want, you can wet the tail just to see the profile. I'm very happy with that there. Okay, and then the last part of the tail. So we went from having our main hair and our under fur to having the guard hairs and the main hair, and then this time it's just going to be main hair with no guard hairs and no under fur. So each layer is getting a little bit lighter as well. So as you can see, I've removing the guard hairs and also the under fur, and it's just basically a pinch of pink or magenta, and I'm sure you know what type of fly this is now. So it'll be one I wouldn't be without. Okay, so now I'm just going to bring all this up right up to the tag, and the tag will hopefully kick that up a little bit, as you can see, and then I'll try and cut this at a little bit of an angle. Okay, and that'll give me a nice shrimp profile. Okay, so the main part of this body is it's a mixture of red fur and yellow lite brite. You can use gold lite brite, it's entirely up to yourself, and it's about 80 fur to 20% gold lite brite. I'm just going to dub this on. So just put a wee bit in. I'm just going to do a wrap right at that tail there, right at the end. It'll help anchor that in. I'm going to just keep this nice and sparse. Sorry, nice and not too twisted in. I want it as straggly as possible. Okay, bring all the fibres back and then just a few turns just to keep that back. Then we'll go up with our rib. Now, I put the rib, first wrap of the rib is always underneath the tail. It just helps give that extra kick to prevent tail wraps, and then I just go up probably about 4 turns for this size of hook. Secure that at 4 or 5 turns. Oh. See that first, when you drift forward, just keep on tying on top of that there. Try and keep that head area free. There's a lot to go in this head. So first thing I want to do around the head area is our wing. So this is Artic Fox dyed hot orange. What I have done is just taken off a pinch, and there's loads of guard hairs in this. You can see there, normally in a dyed fox they're the shinier guard hairs, or the shinier hairs. I'm trying to remove as many of those as possible. If you leave a few, don't worry. And then remove the underfur. Remove the underfur as well. And that will reduce bulk and increase movement at the same time. And the length of this, you want this to extend close to the back, so just after the tag, but not as far as the hooks. And I just tie it in with a pinch and loop, and a couple of turns towards the rear of the hook. Okay, next, just use my scissors, just cut off the excess there, and that's it, leaving those exposed cut ends, which I'll be able to secure down whenever I'm putting on my jungle cock next. Okay, so I have 2 jungle cock feathers here, so I put these on each side of the wing. And I've removed all the fluffy bits first of all. These are actually quite small, so you could have used these as eyes, but I prefer it as a wing, more movement. Okay, so I've done a few turns there just until I'm happy with them where it's sitting. Try and leave as much of the feather outside the thread to give movement. Okay, I'm happy with that there. So, because there's cut ends of the hair there, and there's also the jungle cock, I'm just going to put about 1 inch of super glue on the thread and start tying forwards. Don't worry about any of the offcuts for now. Okay. Next, I'll get my sharp scissors and cut these now that the glue is dried. Okay, so that's a nice fly already there, and then now it's time for the hackles. So hackles, the first hackle anyway, is very oversized, so this has to go close to the rear of the hook as opposed to the barbs. So I expose the tip, break it off, and then burn out 4 or 5 fibres. Always waxing thread for hackles. And then I've created a little V, and just at the base of the V is where I secure that in. 2 or 3 turns, then put my favours back in, and another 2 turns or 3 turns, and then I start training my favours point downwards. Because this is size 12, I'm only going to do probably 2 turns of each hackle. Okay, so this is turn number 1, and then I'm going to remove a few favours for turn number 2, which will give it a very neat head. Okay. There's a couple of turns to screw that in, but I'm going to add another bit of super glue here just because I can see a bit of a slip in the head here. I kind of want to keep the head uniform, so to build that head up a little bit, just going to use a bit of super glue, and at the same time that will help even secure in that last hackle there. Okay, then the next hackle is going to be it's basically badger cock, so it's dyed red. You could use grizzly, you could just use normal red, it's entirely up to yourself. I've even had flags where I'm very short of space, and I've just used a dyed hot orange badger cock as the main hackle, just the one hackle on it for little mini tubes, and I've had fish take that as well. So the opportunities for Calvin is endless. Okay, and then just train these. I should have said as well, this hackle's a little bit smaller than the orange. Again, after 1 turn, because I'm going to do 2, after 1 turn, I remove as much fibres as I can from what I think will be the second turn, just to help give a real neat finish. Okay, and then if there's anything going forward, just bring that back. So there's a few wee fibres there I'm going to bring forward. Okay, and I can see there's a few wee bits of fur here from the dubbing. I'm going to get those afterwards. So basically that's essentially your shrimp. What you can do if you wanted, you use some glow bright floss. So here we have, that's quite large one, it's the size 8 or size 6 with a lovely orange head. Some people use chartreuse or pink, but I think red's as good as any, especially for resident fish, which the majority of fish are this time of the year. I know there's still a few, very odd fresh run fish. There's a few and far between. Okay. So that's me just about finished. I do have a little hackle barb that's popping out, so I'll just clean that up. And essentially that's your Calvin shrimp, folks. So a fly that, as I said, I wouldn't even go to the river if I didn't have it in my fly box at this time of the year. The park is my favourite for most of the year, but whenever it comes to August time or even towards the end of June or end of July, I'll be lost without the Calvin. So definitely worth giving a go. Tie a few for your box, and thanks very much for watching. Until next time, all the best.